humble pranams at lotus feet of our beloved Amma. A warm good morning to one and all. Welcome you all to Amrita Suraksha 2024 one-day seminar on pharmacovigilance in Ayurveda challenges and the way forward. We are beginning the program with Veda Kosha. I welcome Seduraman sir and team for Veda Kosha.
Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Om Gananantva Ganapatigum Havamahe Kavim Kavinamupamashravastamam Jyeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspata Anashrinvannotibhis Siddhasadanam Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha वाग्देव्यै नमः ॐ शन्नो मित्रश्यं वरुणः शन्नो भवत्वर्यमा शन्न इन्द्रो बृहस्पतिः शन्नो विष्णुरुक्रमः नमो ब्रह्मणे नमस्ते वायो त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्म वदिष्यामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारम् ॐ शान्तिः 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 ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः 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 ॐ यश्छन्दसा वृषभो विश्वरूपः छन्दोभ्योऽध्यमृतात् संबभूव समेन्द्रो मेधया स्पृणोतु अमृतस्य देवधारणो भूयासं शरीरं मे विचर्षणं जिह्वा मे मधुमत्तमा कर्णाभ्यां भूरिविश्रुवं ब्रह्मणः कोशोऽसि मेधया पिहितः श्रुतं मे गोपाय ॐ शान्तिः 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 ॐ मेधा देवी जुषमाणा न आगाद् विश्वाची भद्रासु मनस्यमाना त्वया जुष्टानुदमाना दुरुक्तान् बृहद्वदेम विदथे सुवीराः त्वया जुष्टऋषिर्भवति देवे त्वया ब्रह्मा गतश्रीरुतत्वया त्वया जुष्टश्चित्रं विन्दते वसुसानो जुषस्वद्रविणो न मेधे मेधां म इन्द्रो ददातु मेधां देवी सरस्वती मेधां मे अश्विना उभावा धत्तां पुष्करस्रजा अप्सरासु जया मेधा गन्धर्वेषु जयन्मनः दैवीं मेधा सरस्वती सामां मेधासुरभिर्जुषतागस्वाहा आमां मेधासुरभिर्विश्वरूपा हिरण्यवर्णा जगति जगम्या ऊर्जस्वती पयसा पिन्वमाना सामां मेधासुप्रतीकाजुषन्ताम् मयि मेधां मयि प्रजां मयि अग्निस्तेजो दधातु मयि मेधां मयि प्रजां मयि इन्द्रियं दधातु मयि मेधां मयि प्रजां मयि सूर्यो भ्राजो दधातु ॐ हंस हंसाय विद्महे परमहंसाय धीमहि तन्नो हंसः प्रचोदयात् ॐ शान्तिः 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 ॐ न कर्मणा न प्रजया धनेन त्यागेनैके अमृतत्वमानशुः परेण नाकन्निहितं गुहायां विभ्राजते तद्यतयो विशन्ति वेदान्तविज्ञानसुनिश्चितार्थाः सन्न्यासयोगाद्यतयः शुद्धसत्त्वाः ते ब्रह्मलोके तु परान्तकाले परामृतात् परिमुच्यन्ते सर्वे ये दह्रं विपापं परमेश्मभूतं यत्पुण्डरीकं पुरमध्यसग्रस्थं तत्रापि दह्रङ्गगनं विशोकस्तस्मिन् यदन्तस्तदुपासितव्यम् यो वेदादौ स्वरः प्रोक्तो वेदान्ते च प्रतिष्ठितः तस्य प्रकृतिलीनस्य यः परः स महेश्वरः ॐ हंस हंसाय विद्महे परमहंसाय धीमहि तन्नः सद्गुरुरमृतेश्वरी प्रचोदयात् ॐ लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु ॐ शान्तिः 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 ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ
Let's evoke the blessings of Amma. I call upon Dr. Apsara and Dr. Nandini for the prayer.
ध्यायामो धवलावगुण्ठनवतीं तेजोमयीं नैष्टिकीं स्निग्धावाङ्गविलोकिनीं भगवतीं मन्दस्मितश्रीमुखीं वात्सल्यामृतवर्षिणीं सुमधुरं सङ्कीर्तनालापिनीं श्यामाङ्गीं मधुसिक्तसूक्तिम् अमृतानन्दात्मिकाम् ईश्वरी.
Thank you, Seduraman sir, and Dr. Apsara and Dr. Nandini.
Amrita Suraksha 2024. The Peripheral Pharmacovigilance Center at Amrita School of Ayurveda was founded in February 2020 with funding from the Ministry of Ayush. Its purpose is to gather, organize and analyze data to scientifically substantiate the clinical safety of ASU and H drugs, document safety evidence and oversee the surveillance of misleading advertisements related to these drugs for regulatory measures. The National Pharmacovigilance Coordination Center, housed at the All India Institute of Ayurveda in New Delhi, oversees the implementation of pharmacovigilance program for ASU and H drugs. This center receives information on suspected adverse drug reaction from the intermediary pharmacovigilance centers with peripheral pharmacovigilance centers like the one at Amrita School of Ayurveda reporting to the intermediary pharmacovigilance center. The Peripheral Pharmacovigilance Center at Amrita School of Ayurveda is linked with the Institute of Teaching and Research in Ayurveda in Jamnagar. Notably, Amrita School of Ayurveda is the second peripheral pharmacovigilance center established in Kerala for Ayurveda, and it has been recognized twice as the best peripheral pharmacovigilance center among 100 centers in India. Now I welcome Swami Shankaramritananda Puri, Dean, Amrita School of Ayurveda, to deliver opening remarks.
Om Amriteshwarjai Namaha. My pranams at the lotus feet of Amma. My pranams to everyone who are present here, the teaching faculty as well as the other student fraternity who are gathered here are important stakeholders for this particular one-day conference. We are actually undergoing a crisis, a scientific crisis in the field of Ayurveda. Maybe we are not realizing, or it is partially being realized by the actual stakeholders. The courses designed for Ayurveda is for 5.5 years as well as another 3 years for post-graduation. At least 8.5 years we undergo a training to learn Ayurveda. If it is the other streams like engineering or business or some other stream, the training will be much more intense and different because they are structured internationally and they follow the norms according to the international standards. Whereas Ayurveda is not uniform everywhere. It depends upon the particular institute that you are studying. So there are a lot of variations. I will be more clear. If you see the streams in North India and the Kerala situation, the practice of allopathic system is very prevalent in Maharashtra as well as in Karnataka and the other states also. The usage of medicines also is very, very different. If you take the case of, if you go to Delhi, it's very difficult to get Ayurvedic medicines which are easily available in Kerala. So maybe 4 or 5 pharmacies are there. Even in Benares, I became sick when I went there. And only Kerala pharmacy was available there. And 35 kilometers we have to travel. It is not available in Benares in the university. Ayurvedic medicines are not available. Or the medicines which we are used to take, are not available, at least. So, what I am trying to communicate is the variation between states, between in Tamil Nadu, now it is better, but still it is not very good. Andhra, it is not there. So, even in Kerala, the standard of medicines, is becoming it's a question mark. It's not uniform. And now we are switching more towards nutraceuticals, like the single drug remedies, or like the products which are produced by Himalayas, etc., for convenience sake rather than for the science. Maybe the old generation Ayurvedic doctors will find it very difficult to treat with single drug medicines, like give a neem extract or some other medicine from Himalayas and treat a patient completely. It will be very difficult for them. Now, the abuse or the unethical methods used by the doctors, like using more patent medicines. For each symptom, you have a drug of choice. The drug is not dependent upon exactly the diagnosis as well as the assessment of the patient, but for the commission and other aspects of business. So a patient going to the doctor will have to go back spending thousands of rupees unnecessarily, or there is no comprehensive approach through diet as well as the lifestyle, which is the foundation of Ayurveda. So there are a lot of challenges we are actually facing. I am not trying to present the problems alone. How to solve this? There is only one method. Amma says a simple example. Now, if there is a big drum of salt water and you want to make it into a sweet water, there is only one method. You go on adding pure water to it. If there is a bucket of salt water and if you add a drum of sweet water, at least some adjustment can be made and that water can be potable, or purify that water. This example is told in Charaka Samhita also. Pasunam daurbalyat kasyan madhye vrigayate sa satyam vrigamasadya prakritim bhajate pasu. A cow acting like a tiger can cheat the other cows which are meek. But once the real tiger approaches, the cow which is acting like a tiger, it will run away. So the only way to solve all the major technical questions, technical problems, the real issues, ethical as well as scientific, is to make it, to rectify it, to bring good leaders, to bring good leadership, to become more aware about the problem. And just by keeping quiet, the problems will not get settled. It is getting worse and worse, because the other community or the people who are opposing or the people who don't have an identity with Indian thinking, Indian knowledge systems, there is a purposeful fight which is going on, which we are not realizing, to defame, to take off the identity itself, to make the people think that Indian system is not scientific at all. So all these things are happening. So whichever way we are able to counter it, whichever way positively we are able to counter, either by knowledge, either by good practice, there is no other way other than to demonstrate it actually directly. To have a good hospital is the only solution to solve all these things. To give good medicines, to give good food, to educate them through all the comprehensive methods that are told by our rishis. This is the only method. Second one is creating awareness in the community. Outside the community is also necessary, but within the community also is very, very necessary. If we ourselves are not aware of all the issues, and we ourselves are not responsible for what is going to happen, then who else will become responsible? Who will solve the issues that are going to happen for Ayurveda, that is going to happen to the students? If we are producing substandard students who are only dependent upon patent medicines and not at all knowing the science, then who is to be blamed? The first people are the institute heads. So also it is the responsibility of the students who are learning the science to become more genuine, to know, understand, to study the science deeply, to practice it also. It's not just for intellectual understanding. You understand something and practice some other thing is not going to help you. There is a drastic change within 25 years that no doctors are able to relate Ashtanga Hridaya, even in Kerala. Previously, they used to copiously quote the slogas when they treat the patients. All the people knew the yogas. And by mistake, I used to ask questions who are interacting with me. I just asked one or two simple questions like Shadanga Yoga. They did not say, they said it is out of syllabus. Shadanga Paniya, they did not know. So these are not possible. Some 25 years before, it is absolutely not possible. So the solution lies not only in educating, not only in becoming more and more aware of the problem, more and more aware of the science, to believe in our own system. Belief cannot come blindly, it has to come only by knowledge. So by adding good things, by adding good leaderships, to create more and more good leaders who are committed, who will know and who will also practice. Both are required. So it is not enough if we just know things. It has to be translated into practice. I will definitely say that less and less usage of unnecessary patent medicines, adulteration of medicines, adulteration of ingredients, to, to, to make good medicines, further ingredients are very, very important. You cannot make a good food without good ingredients. With spoiled vegetables, you cannot create a good sabji. It's as simple as that. So similarly, the ingredients that we use, the milk that we use, the ghee we use, the oils that we use, the medicines, the quantity of medicines, the method we prepare, everything is becoming very, very critical and important. There is no point in simply talking, but it has to be demonstrated through our institutions. Otherwise, it's not going to help us. So, for which a kind of an intelligent society is required. The institute should be robust with people who are very stable in their thinking, very confident in their knowledge. Then the institute will change by itself. So, for which there's a big campaign going against Ayurvedic medicines, stating that it damages liver, it damages kidney. In consent form in allopathic hospitals, you have to compulsorily say that I am not consuming Ayurvedic medicines. You have to give a statement that I will not use Ayurvedic medicine. So it's going to that level, and it is directly affecting the industry as well as the practice. So it's important that we become aware of many aspects in the pharmacy industry, for which this effort is being made by the government, and we are a center we are expected to create awareness about many aspects of pharmacy industry. So I hope today's program will help all of you and take us in the proper direction. I pray to Amma for all that is necessary in this direction. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Swamiji. Amrita has a legacy to always acknowledge the effort put in by its people. We are now about to present Chancellor's Publications Excellence Award. We welcome Swamiji to distribute these awards. Dr. Devi Priya Soman, Dr. Hemavati Krishnaraj Bhatt, Dr. Parvati Unnikrishnan, Dr. B. Priyalada, Dr. Prajesh Nath Ian, Dr. Rabinarayanan Tripathi, Dr. Shyam Sundaran K, Dr. K. Shiva Balaji, and Dr. K. S. Vimala. Thank you, Swamiji.
Our first session will be on the topic Introduction to Pharmacovigilance by Dr. Devisri Damodaran, who is working as Junior Research Fellow in Peripheral Pharmacovigilance Center in Amrita School of Ayurveda under the Ministry of Ayush. I welcome Dr. Devisri Damodaran to please take over the session.
Om Amriteshwari Namaha. Pranams to Amma and pranams to everyone present here. So today I'll be taking the awareness class on the topic Introduction to Pharmacovigilance. So these are the topics that I'm going to deal with today. So let's see the etymological roots of the term pharmacovigilance. So pharmacovigilance is a term which is coined from two terms, that is pharmakon, which is a Greek word, it is known as medicinal substance, and vigilia, which is a Latin term to keep watch. So from this we can understand the word meaning of pharmacovigilance, that is to keep watch on medicinal substance or to observe the medicinal substance. Now let's see the definition of pharmacovigilance, which is given by WHO. So it states that pharmacovigilance is a science and activities relating to the detection, assessment, understanding and prevention of adverse effects or any other medicine, vaccine related problems. So through pharmacovigilance, we are going to detect, assess and understand any medicine related ailments that are happening to the patient, or any medical devices ailment that are happening to the patient, or any ill effects that is causing because of any vaccines or any surgical substances, etc. Now let's see what is the importance of pharmacovigilance in healthcare. So while treating the patient, the patient safety is the primary and primemost importance that has to be given. Pharmacovigilance helps in protecting patient safety, and it enhances the public trust in health system, and finally it contributes to the sustainability of the healthcare system. And now let's see what are the aims of pharmacovigilance. So the pharmacovigilance aims to improve patient care and safety in regards to the intake of medicine and all medicinal and paramedical interventions. Again, it improves public health and safety regarding medicine intake, all medicine and other paramedical interventions. And it contributes to the assessment of benefit, harm, effectiveness and risk of medicine, and the effective rational use and safe use of the medicine. And it again promotes understanding, education and clinical training of pharmacovigilance. And again, it effectively helps to communicate all these things with the patients. Now let's see the historical perspective of pharmacovigilance. So the pharmacovigilance commenced 170 years ago, but the formation of regulation on the drug safety, etc., were happened only after this particular drug tragedy that is known as thalidomide tragedy, which happened in Europe in 1961. So this thalidomide was a drug which is given for the nausea in pregnancy, and the babies were born with a birth defect known as phocomelia. It was because of a side effect due to the usage of thalidomide. So the phocomelia is a condition where like the congenital deformity with the absence of a proximal part of limbs. So following this thalidomide tragedy, many committees were formed in various countries, and in 1968 WHO formed Center for International Drug Monitoring, and this center look after the drug safety globally. Now let's see the regulatory body of this particular system. So at present, the Uppsala Monitoring Center, which is the same WHO Center for International Drug Monitoring, look after the global drug safety. They have collaborating countries under this, and the countries reports the adverse drug reactions that are happening within the country to the Uppsala Monitoring Center, and the information, all this information is collected at the center, and they give the information on potential side effects of medicinal product through their global database that is known as VigiBase. So in India, the CDSCO, that is the Indian Drug Standard Control Organization, is a regulatory body for pharmacovigilance, and they work through the Pharmacovigilance Program of India. Now let's see what is an adverse drug reaction. So adverse drug reaction is a response to a drug that is noxious, means harmful, and unintended, and which occurs at a dose normally used in man for the prophylaxis, diagnosis, or therapy of a disease, or for the modification of a physiological function. So if you are taking a medicine in the actual dose and it is showing an harmful effect, then it is known as an adverse effect, or this particular effect can be suspected as an adverse drug reaction. Now let's see pharmacovigilance in Ayurveda. So in 2004, WHO emphasized the need of pharmacovigilance in traditional medicine as well. So as a result of this, the WHO has published a safety monitoring guideline for herbal medicines. And in 2007, in ITRA and Jamnagar, they have established a pharmacovigilance cell. Following that, in 2008, September 29, the National Pharmacovigilance Program for ASU and H drug was launched. So it is same as the modern medicine. We look into the safety of a drug which is available in the market. And along with that, in Ayurveda, we also check for the misleading advertisements on the herbal products in the market. So why do we need pharmacovigilance in Ayurveda? So we need this particular system. First and foremost, the main aim is for the patient safety itself. And along with that, we need pharmacovigilance in Ayurveda for the global acceptance of this science. Secondly, there are increased doubts about the safety of Ayurveda medicine. So in order to rectify these things, we need a monitoring of the drugs that are available in the market. Then again, there is adulterations and contaminations happening in Ayurvedic medicines with allopathic medicine. So to put a control over this, we need the particular system of pharmacovigilance. Then again, polypharmacy is another thing in which the patients have a tendency to take different system of medicines, and this may ultimately lead to drug interactions leading to harmful effects in the patient. So to have a control over this also, we need a proper observation of drugs that are there in the market. And widespread manufacture and sale of counterfeit substandard medicines are available there in the market. So to control that, we need pharmacovigilance. Then to control the sale of over-the-counter drugs. Then to control the increase of self-medication practices. For these, we need pharmacovigilance of Ayurveda. Then now let's see to the goals of pharmacovigilance in Ayurveda. So first is to inculcate the reporting culture among the consumers of Ayurveda drugs. We need pharmacovigilance. And to facilitate the documentation and reporting of adverse drug reactions, it is very important to have the pharmacovigilance system in Ayurveda. Then to facilitate documentation and reporting of instances of misleading advertisements. Then to evolve evidence-based recommendation regarding the safety. To develop evidence-based recommendation regarding improper advertisements also are the goals of pharmacovigilance in Ayurveda. Now let's see the module of governance. So the program management unit of pharmacovigilance is a Ministry of Ayush, and under Ayush there is a 3-tier system which is running, and these particular system look after they look after the adverse drug reactions as well as misleading advertisements that is happening in the country. So under Ministry of Ayush, we have a National Pharmacovigilance Coordination Center. So All India Institute of Ayurveda is the National Pharmacovigilance Coordination Center. Under this coordination center, we have 5 intermediary pharmacovigilance coordination centers. For Ayurveda, we have got 2 intermediary pharmacovigilance centers. And for Unani, Homeopathy and Siddha, there are other intermediary pharmacovigilance centers. So in Ayurveda, we have National Institute of Ayurveda and ITRA Jamnagar as the intermediary pharmacovigilance center. And Amrita School of Ayurveda comes under the ITRA Jamnagar Intermediary Pharmacovigilance Center. So under these intermediary pharmacovigilance, there are 90 plus peripheral pharmacovigilance centers. So all these centers collectively work on checking onto drug reactions that are happening due to the usage of Ayurvedic medicines, as well as they also check into the misleading advertisements that are happening throughout the country about the herb and herbal products. Now let's see ADR reporting process, how we can report an adverse drug reactions. So first of all, who all can report an adverse drug reaction? Any healthcare professional, doctor, nurses, or a pharmacist can report this adverse drug reaction. Even a layman can report an adverse drug reaction. If a patient is getting an adverse drug reaction, he can directly contact to the concerned doctor, and the doctor can report it to the higher centers. That is how the process works. If a doctor is getting an adverse drug reaction, he can directly contact the nearest peripheral pharmacovigilance center to his area, and he can report the reaction. And from that peripheral pharmacovigilance center, the data is collected and it is passed to the intermediary pharmacovigilance center. And from intermediary, it is passed over to the National Pharmacovigilance Center. And from there, the risk-benefit analysis of that particular drug is done, and the subsequent decisions is made at the National Pharmacovigilance Center. The doctor can also report this particular adverse drug reaction through an portal which is provided by the ministry, that is Suraksha portal. This is the website of, this is the Suraksha portal, where any doctors can report both adverse drug reaction as well as misleading advertisement. So this is how the document appears, and the doctor can fill the form and submit it directly to the NPVCC. So this is the form which we use in our periphery pharmacovigilance center to report an adverse drug reaction. Next, about reporting of misleading advertisements. So you can report the misleading advertisements through the nearest peripheral or intermediary pharmacovigilance center, or else you can report these misleading advertisements in Ayush Suraksha portal, or you can use the websites of Department of Consumer Affairs, or in the Health and Family Welfare Department also there is a provision to report misleading advertisements of any sort of herbs or herbal products. So this is the format in which we report misleading advertisements at our peripheral pharmacovigilance center. So that's it. This is a small introduction about pharmacovigilance center. So thank you. If you have any doubts on reporting of adverse drug reaction or misleading advertisements, you can just ask. So ma'am, for misleading advertisements, as per the Drug and Magic Remedy Act 1954, we have got 78 disorders which are stated, like for those disorders no advertisement is done, like cure for diabetes, for making skin whitening products, cure for urological condition, care for uterus, you can care like advertisements telling that we can cure fibroid, etc. Such kind of advertisements are has to be reported. These kind of advertisements are known as misleading advertisements, and if we see such kind of advertisements, we can report it to the concerned peripheral pharmacovigilance center. It's like that. For example, one old skin whitening cream was the Amrita. Now it is banned. So as per this DMRA Act, such kind of advertisements is not entertained, and it is a punishable act as well. Yeah, we should not claim. Yeah, doing a treatment for it is allowed, but we cannot claim that this particular medicine can cure diabetes or fibroid or something like that.
Thank you, Dr. Devisri Damodaran. Now we welcome Dr. Priya S., HOD, Department of Dravaguna, to felicitate Dr. Devisri Damodaran. Reporting of Toxicity Due to Ayurveda Medication, Ground Reality by Dr. Galib, Ayurveda Institute of Ayurveda, New Delhi. Dr. Galib, an Ayurvedic scholar working as Associate Professor in the Department of Rasashastra and Vaishyakalpana at All India Institute of Ayurveda, New Delhi. He completed his PhD from IPGT and RA, Jamnagar. Sir has imparted his services in various fields such as Research Officer in CCRAS from 2006 to 2007, and he nominated as co-opted member Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia Committee, Department of Ayush, Government of India during 2010, and as associate editor of Ayu, the quarterly peer-reviewed International Journal of Ayurveda, and worked as coordinator of WHO Collaborating Center for Traditional Medicine in between 2013 to 2016. He is an expert member of Ayush Research Portal, Ministry of Ayush, New Delhi, and also as coordinator National Pharmacovigilance Program for ASU and H drugs from 2017 onwards. He received CCRA's Young Scientist Award in 2017. Sir, having more than 15 years of PG teaching, recognized PG and PhD guide, and principal investigator in various projects. He have more than 120 papers published in different peer-reviewed journals and more than 65 presentations at different events. With great respect, I invite Dr. Galib to take over the session.
Sir,
Yeah, thank you so much for saying a few words upon me. So, respected Shankara Amrita and Puriji, Dean Amrita School of Ayurveda, Dr. Ramji, Research Director, Amrita School of Ayurveda, Dr. Ramesh NV from the same school, expert speakers, Dr. Vishnu, Dr. Devipriya Soman, and Dr. Devishri Damodaranji, Dr. Prajesh, the coordinator of this Peripheral Pharmacovigilance Center at Amrita School of Ayurveda, galaxy of senior professionals, learned scholars, and other stakeholders. Namaskar, and at the outset, thank you so much for inviting me. At the outset, I would like to make this colorful festival build a stronger than ever bond in between all of us. So with this, I hope I am audible clearly and my slides are visible.
yes, sir.
Yeah. So I have been asked to put a few words.
Sir, can you, sir, excuse me, sir. Sir, your voice is breaking. Can you switch off the video, sir? Then it will fine.
Okay. Right? Yeah,
Yes, sir.
I have been asked to
Yes, okay,
views
sir.
on reporting of toxicity due to Ayurveda medicines, the ground reality. So quickly, I will place a few points in front of you, focusing on the increasing demands of traditional medicines and concerns being raised on these days, and how the pharmacovigilance system for Ayush it has been initiated, and what exactly is the reporting culture and the reality in terms of various challenges that are being noticed at the pharmacovigilance program. So the traditional system of medicine in Indian scenario, it is popularly recognized as Ayush. So this is well known, and no one has any doubts regarding their contributions to the global healthcare. The significant contributions, they are well acknowledged at multiple platforms across the globe. So the demand for traditional practices, it has increased multiple times in recent times, particularly during and even after the COVID times. So this demand is even more, it is witnessed. So at present, so we are witnessing a highly receptive environment where the value of Ayush systems in healthcare is widely recognized, and the Ministry of Ayush has also well recognized this demand, and it is utilizing every opportunity to showcase the Ayush potential. As well known, Ayush it utilizes the natural resources in disease management, but unfortunately, the consumers they believe that natural as safe. They believe that the remedies that are coming from the natural origin, the remedies that are coming from the green source, they are harmless and they carry no risk. So this belief is existing in the scenario. So though the traditional products they have medicinal values and are beneficial for human health, so it is important to remember that natural doesn't necessarily mean safe. So thus there is a need to develop safety efficacy data that can bring scientificity to the Ayush practices. So considering this need, so developing mechanisms that can monitor the safety, developing mechanisms that can monitor the practices, it becomes imperative. So this is what reflected in one of the WHO document. They says that okay, so the traditional practices are lacking in certain areas or difficulties that are being faced by traditional practices before they are globalizing. So this is one important area. So developing mechanisms that can monitor safety and practices, it is very much essential. And the same thing, it was even mentioned by our Honorable Prime Minister. So we can see what he focused upon almost a decade back. So he expressed that the Ayush potential for global healthcare needs are to be tapped. This is okay. So he mentioned in 2014 that World Ayurveda Congress, which was held in New Delhi, and in 2022, in the same occasion, while addressing the World Ayurveda Congress in 2022, he called the professional cohorts to engage in generating evidence-based databases. So this is very much crucial, and even the in the same series, definitely I can say that. So the situation review that has been published by Southeast Asian Regional Office of WHO, so they have emphasized on pharmacovigilance, and so they have recommended that appropriate evaluation methods are highly essential for traditional practices. And they have even mentioned in that document that individual countries they must develop mechanisms to meet that specific need. So this is mentioned in this specific document. And in that direction, so during the initial days of new millennium, it's about 2000 to 2004. So WHO, so they have released a series of documents highlighting the importance of pharmacovigilance in the medical field. And in 2006, if at all, categorically, if at all, we are looking towards the traditional practices and pharmacovigilance for traditional practices, you suppose. So the landmark events, they have been organized in 2006. So the first one is organized in JN Jawaharlal Nehru Medical College, the pharmacology department, which is located in Aligarh Muslim University. So they have organized one, and on the same year, so another professional vigilant group, they in Mumbai, they have and these two events they have recommended having a vigilant systems pharmacovigilance systems for Ayush practices also. So this was followed by the designation of IPGTRA, now it is known as ITRA, at Jamnagar as the nodal center for the pharmacovigilance program in 2007. And this program was revived in 2017 with certain added features by the Ministry of Ayush. I'm sure that so these developments they have been possibly mentioned in by the earlier speakers. And this is the what the hierarchy that we are following in this existing system. So it is a three-tier mechanism with 19 in peripheral and 5 intermediate centers, which is well established, and attempts are being made. They have been made to at least establish one center in each state and union territory. And the basic mandates they have been already mentioned by Dr. Prajesh and other speakers. So the ultimate office to the to tell us about the system. So that is the basic motto of this pharmacovigilance program. And besides that, inculcating the reporting culture. Okay, so these two are the main objectives of this program. Based upon the reports that are being received, so the databases can be generated and further, depending upon those system-wise databases. So recommendations for ascertaining clinical safety also can be made. So this is what being planned at this moment. Okay, so in this program, and it is being followed since last 5 to 6 years. To meet the first objective, so this is what I mentioned, that generating awareness and inculcating the reporting culture is the important one. And to meet this specific objective, a series of orientation programs that are being carried out across the country by all those designated peripheral pharmacovigilance centers, basically. And I said that, okay, so this program, it is revived in 2017. So since its revival in 2017, so the program, it has organized more than 1,100 such orientation programs, training programs, awareness programs. Okay, so they have been organized across the country, across those by those 99 peripheral centers. And all such events, so you can see that the graph, so what the reality otherwise. Okay, so in real world, okay, so what the peripheral centers they are doing. So they attempted to at least sensitize more than 90,000 professionals across the country. So this is one achievement that the pharmacovigilance program is initiated, and so it is taking up. So the program which is being done at this moment, okay, so where all the learned scholars, they are gathered there, okay, so under the umbrella of this peripheral pharmacovigilance center of Amrita Ayurveda. So this is also one kind of such initiation. Sorry for that. So it seems, okay, so when it is being transferred to this, okay, so the color is, I couldn't able to see the graph here clearly, but I would like to say that, okay, so this is one data, so which is being received. Okay, so since 2017, the program, it has received more than 1,700 plus individual case safety reports. And so when we are saying the reports are serious, none of these reports they required hospitalization, or none of these individual case safety reports are fatal in nature. So no fatality was noticed. And though there are no fatal incidents, though there are no fatal reactions that have been noticed, we have to realize that traditional products also can pose some sort of adversity. And that's so must that, okay, so these traditional practices also can create, so that's why such kind of formulate kind of Ayush products. So they supervision of so they are not the products that can be consumed, that can be purchased over the counter and that can be consumed. It's not like that. So no one should feel that. And so these are the green sources. These are coming from the green sources. These are the natural formulations. That's why. So there is no possibility of adverse drug reactions. They shouldn't feel that. So they should understand that these are the medicines. They are only supposed to be used under the supervision of a qualified Ayush physician. So this message is supposed to be percolated to the grassroots levels of the end users. So besides, while analyzing whatever it may be the individual case safety report that is being received by the intermediary centers or national centers, of course, okay, so Naranja's algorithm, so they are being followed. Besides that, Naranjo's algorithm attempts are being made even to evaluate the most possible reason for the suspected adverse drug reaction. I'm trying to say that whether the suspected adverse drug reaction is because of the fault of the physician, or it is because of the fault of the patient, or whether it is because of the drug as a whole, or because of which reason, because of which, okay, so reason, so such kind of adversity is manifested. Okay, so this is what we are trying to evaluate. And of course, while doing these interactions, I mean, whenever we are having we are conducting so these awareness programs and orientation programs, and while our interactions with multiple stakeholders at different platforms, so it has been revealed that so there are many misconceptions even today they are prevailing in this scenario, and majority of the consumers and even professionals, I would like to reiterate that not the layman, not the not I mean even the highly professional communities also, so they feel that traditional medicine is safe to be used. So that misconception even it is there in today's scenario. So it has been noticed that many end users, many patients, they use these formulations concomitantly with prescription drugs, many times without informing to their practicing physicians. Okay, so these are the practices which always bring a bad reputation to the system as a whole. So that's okay. So that is also one important area. So we need to consider. So they feel that these end users, they feel that the traditional formulation, they don't have a expiry date. So they feel that okay, so once it is prescribed, so they can be used for long. So there are no dose limitations. As much as I want, I can consume it. So such kind of misconceptions they are prevailing in the society. So that's why there is a huge need to educate the communities at large, and this is what being focused in multiple occasions in various orientation programs by the basically by the coordinators of these peripheral centers and intermediate centers. So when we look into these areas, of course those misperceptions, so they are there in the communities. And at the same time, so whenever a pharmacovigilance system is there, pharmacovigilance system for traditional practices is considered, you suppose. So there are many other areas that also need to be considered when we are executing, when we are kind of systems. In comparison to the conventional system of medicine, so when we see the traditional systems of medicine, suppose, so their therapeutic approaches are so they are unique. The health maintenance and disease management in the traditional practices, in traditional approaches, so they deal with what I can say, they deal with empirical practices, including medication with natural elements or processed elements, focusing on overall wellness with varied methodologies and philosophies. So the therapeutic modalities of diseases, they are based on, you know it very well, that Prakriti, Sara, Samhanana, and all those things will come. They are based upon subtypes and stages and the severity of the diseases, and the medicines are prescribed on a customized approach or a personalized manner after a thorough examination of all those factors that are very much essential to be evaluated. So understanding of human individuality through assessment of each individual constitution, and it forms the traditional systems constitution. So considering such customized therapeutic practices, it becomes very difficult to implement pharmacovigilance system in traditional systems of medicines. Amid staff focus on such kind of practical difficulties, so we're trying to come up and these 1,000 plus so individual case safety reports, okay, so that have been received at our end, okay, so they are giving us new leads to analyze the scenario. So this is drug regulation is also so one specific factor that is being experienced at the pharmacovigilance program. So some part of the medicines are available as non-prescription medicines across the country, so that everyone knows it. So some herbs, so they may be supplemented as nutraceuticals or food supplements or dietary supplements, or okay, so many a times as a botanicals also too, they are available in the market, but not as medicines. So they are not being sold, or they are not being dispensed as medicines. So there are subtleties in the legal differentiation in between the food supplements, in between the nutraceuticals and the dietary supplements and the herbal medicines. So this is one biggest challenge. This is one biggest, I mean, when we come to the real world, if suppose of implementing such kind of programs, so these are the issues that creeps into the systems. So that is one biggest thing. So at many to add to this one, so advertisements is also one important area. So at many times advertisers, they advertise that herbal medicine originated from the natural herbal medicines that are that belongs to green therapy, uh, or okay, no, they won't have any sort of toxic material, so they won't create any sort of adverse effects, and people can take it in the long term. Okay, so this such kind of advertisings, such kind of advertisements very frequently we used to come across. So all such kind of issues, all such kind of instances, they will mislead the end users. There is no doubt about that. So it may lead to adverse events by misusing. So when the consumers believe such kind of advertisements, when the consumers purchase the products over the counter, when the end user use it as a dietary supplement or a food supplement without any supervision of a qualified physician, suppose, so they may lead to adverse events, and that's why. So it becomes very challenging when pharmacovigilance system is considered. So reporting of adverse drug reactions in such kind of instances, if at all somebody consider it as a dietary supplement, if somebody is considered it as a botanical, you suppose, okay, so in such kind of instances, ADRs, okay, so it becomes very difficult to be reported. So the adverse reactions that may develop in such cases may not enter into the databases of actual pharmacovigilance systems. So this is one important real world practical difficulty, so that the system is experiencing. As I said earlier, consumers, they often believe that the traditional products are natural and they are safe to be consumed. So this perception, so it is there in the grassroots levels. And herb drug interaction is one important area so which need to be considered. So when there is a increasing use of dietary supplements, nutraceuticals, and such supplements which are available over the counter for self-medication, so many a times the sufferers, so the patients, so they will purchase them. How they are going to be purchased is a different domain to be discussed. But okay, so as they are available over the counter, so they will purchase them directly from the outlets, and they will consume in conjunction with the prescription medicines. So it is essential to understand the consequences of such combined use and monitor whether any adverse effects are arising with such a practice of concomitant use or not. So this is very much essential, and this is definitely an important and unfortunately is an underestimated area in therapeutics, particularly when traditional systems are considered. So unfortunately, as I said, unfortunately, evidences on such kind of herb drug interactions and what exactly happens on their concomitant use with the prescribed drugs is meager. So very limited amount of information is available. And herb-drug interaction is an important aspect to be considered in pharmacovigilance systems. So in that direction also, the systems, the pharmacovigilance systems, they should consider, and attempts are being considered, attempts are being done to look into this specific domain by the program. And this is another important area is the skilled manpower. So despite of global concerns against the medication safety, there is lack of awareness and acknowledge the pharmacovigilance programs by the professional communities. So knowledge of pharmacovigilance is support by ADR reporting, suspected ADR reporting among the healthcare professionals. It has been noticed that it is very less, and at countries and in a few countries it has been said that it is lacking. So there is no reporting. Okay, so such kind of such kind of reports, they are available. So healthcare professionals, they are crucial, and they can play a significant role in the pharmacovigilance system. All such professionals, so they need to have a considerable knowledge and expertise so that they can successfully contribute in the pharmacovigilance system. So early detection, early management, and reporting of safety issues, they hold highest importance in the healthcare system. So thus healthcare professionals should be trained at regular intervals to improve skills related to the concepts of pharmacovigilance system. So this current attempt, what the Amrita Institute of Ayurveda is doing, is also one of such attempt to initiate, to at least impart some basic knowledge related to the pharmacovigilance systems, and to encourage the young think tanks to at least know that, to understand that yes, okay, so traditional practices also can create some sort of adversity, and our responsibility is to report it. So that is what the initiation that is being done by the current event. And okay, so considering so all these aspects, all these challenges, in the middle of all these challenges that I was mentioning, the pharmacovigilance program is trying to generate awareness among the stakeholders and to inform that no medicine is safe in all circumstances to all people that they are consuming. So proper use only can lead to effectiveness. This is very aptly it is quoted in that decade document of 2014 to 2023 by World Health Organization. So they have mentioned about proper use. They have mentioned that all the medicines are supposed to be consumed under the supervision in an appropriate way. So this is categorically mentioned in this document. And I'm sure, because I was recollecting one of the verse from Charaka Samhita, they have aptly mentioned, Ayurveda has taken that pride in mentioning that prayoga shamayat vyadhim yo anyamanya mudirayet. So which infers that Shuddha approach to treatment that pacifies the diseases without causing any new manifestations is categorically, so it reflects about the keen vigilant approach of traditional healers while managing any sort of disease. So to sum up the brief address that I was trying to put in front of you, I would like to say that, and even I would like to reinforce that the traditional practices are to be consumed under the supervision of qualified and registered physicians by following all those specified instructions. So the traditional practices, traditional formulations are not the over-the-counter formulations. They are supposed to be considered as medicines, and they are not nutraceuticals, they are not food supplements, they are not the botanicals. So they are the medicines, they are the drugs, they are supposed to be always to be considered as medicines. So though lesser in severity, traditional medicines may also manifest adverse drug reactions. We cannot say that these are coming from the green sources, that's why so they are safe. No, so it's not like that. So these practices also can create adverse drug reactions, and all such adversities are to be reported to the pharmacovigilance system so that so that at least, okay, so we can understand that at which part of the country, which kind of signals are being generated. So what kind of individual case safety reports are occurring at times, okay, so they may be crucial in the healthcare systems also. So that's why, so it is very much essential to be reported. So the contribution and sincere participation of each and every stakeholder, it becomes immense and pivotal in this program. Please join hands together in this noble endeavor. So your active participation can definitely bring a positive change in our surroundings. So, and further, it will help in refining all Ayush clinical practices. Yes. So we cannot feel that, okay, so no one can change the scenario. So you definitely can change the scenario, and your sincere involvement can help in opening windows for framing future policies, and further will help in mainstreaming of Ayush systems. Does it is in your hands. Definitely, I can say that. Okay, so the young think tanks, okay, so the PG and PhD scholars, whomsoever they are hearing, okay, so this brief address, I request them, please come forward and join hands together in this global cause. Thank you so much for the invitation. Thanks for the patient hearing, and please be vigilant and contribute to the system. And dear organizers of Amrita Institute, the institute which is an important component in the pharmacovigilance system, efficiently contributing since its inception to the vision of the Ministry of Ayush. So thank you so much for organizing this orientation program, and thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity. Thank you so much. Namaste.
Any queries?
Namaste, sir. One query I had was now drug-induced liver injury and then Ayurvedic medicines. They are being much hyped, and the unfortunate part is that articles are being published in high impact factor journals and by very reputed allopathic practitioners. That is immediately, taken into consideration by the public or the community, both allopathic or even scientists. So, can anything, when we try to write a counter article based on this, telling that there are lots of loopholes in the article or the review, the problem is that it is a long process, and mostly at the end of this, the article gets rejected. So can the authoritative pharmacovigilance unit also consider these case reports that target, like we have articles saying ashwagandha is a liver toxin, Guduchi is a liver toxin, Ashtavarga is a liver toxin, but we know that it is being used successfully in practice? Or is it that the pharmacovigilance can only do the necessary effects or take steps if a report is being filed? Or such issues can also be taken into consideration, sir?
Yeah, I mean, this is a very relevant question. So we do agree. Well, okay, so what you were mentioning that, but the thing is, again, I will say that this is. I don't want to say that. Okay, so somebody is trying to. Okay, if they are reporting it, so I'm not on behalf of them, or I'm not saying that we are not doing anything. So the thing is, we should come out with safety profiles. It becomes the responsibility of each and everyone's responsibility. So whatever we are looking for, whatever we are doing the research, it should be published on a credible platforms. Okay, so I'm not saying that once if somebody is saying that Guduchi is toxic, so then we're trying to say that no, Guduchi is not toxic. Before that, whatever the PG thesis, whatever the PhD thesis, whatever the research that we are doing, why we are not coming up with a why we are not coming up with a credible publications on a credible platforms, good platforms. So my purpose of saying this is we are doing research, but the publications are not seen on a credible platforms. So until and unless if publication is not there, you know that, okay, so publication and research both are the two facets of a coin. If the second facet is not there, you suppose, so it becomes there is no validity for that. So that's why if somebody raises some query on Guduchi, somebody says that ashwagandha is toxic. So then, okay, so we try to say that no, ashwagandha is there and it is coming since thousands of years and it is there in our practice. So that become a routine answer for that, but it won't. Okay, so simply saying that yes, okay, so we are practicing is not enough. For that, okay, so we need to have that systematic and stringent regulations are to be followed before, okay, so putting the evidences on a standard platform. Okay, so of course, okay, so I'm not saying that, okay, so somebody is wrong when he's saying, when she is saying, when the researcher from the counterpart is saying that it is toxic. So they may be looking through their eyes. Okay, so they are looking through the conventional eyes. So they are looking through the eyes of chemistry or molecular biology. Okay, so they may be saying that, okay, so this is. But when we are using drug as a whole, so if at all it is giving us some benefit, and if at all it is giving some positive outcomes, if at all it is not creating any sort of toxicity, so then it has to be, definitely it has to be published on a standard platform. I do agree that, okay, so many a times, okay, so the communications they may be rejecting, it is rejecting because of, okay, so we may not be standing in there, okay, so levels of whatever the regulations that are being required at that specific level. But at least, okay, so we can publish the technical documents, so at multiple levels. So it may not be in the same journal, but okay, so there are many other journals, so which are scientific, which are standard enough. Okay, so that are to be considered. Okay, publications are to be considered. This is one point. And second thing is, you mentioned that whether pharmacovigilance systems, okay, so they are taking care of, okay, so such kind of to address, okay, so such kind of issues or not. Okay, we tried. Okay, so for that Guduchi, whichever is referred, whichever was published in hepatic communications, I feel it was in that journal. Okay, so there was a communication. There was a letter to editor. Okay, so from our side, from the ministry side, there was a communication. But the thing is, until and unless if we don't have a standard publications, it becomes very difficult to defend the concerns that are being raised. That too, okay, so in this decade, if at all you are looking, suppose frequently they are creeping into the society. Otherwise, one or the second day we are facing such kind of concerns that are being raised on one or the other part of the traditional systems of medicines. So uh, I feel okay. So instead of becoming okay panicky to look such kind of concerns, so we should be strong enough to uh, say that, okay, so our traditional practices definitely, okay, so they may create some sort of positive note, positive environment, okay, so in the healthcare system. So such kind of systems are supposed to be documented, well documented, and such kind of documents are supposed to be vetted, and they are supposed to be published at standard platforms. Okay, so until and unless there is no publication, so it becomes very difficult to convince the conventional community. So this is what I would like to put forward.
We extend our heartfelt gratitude to Dr. Galib for his enlightening session on reporting of toxicity due to Ayurveda medication. His insights have been invaluable in enhancing our understanding of this crucial aspect of healthcare. Thank you, Galib sir, for sharing your insights with us.
Thank you so much.
Move on to the next session, the toxicity of Ayurvedic herbs and formulation, a critical analysis by Dr. P. Ram Manohar. Dr. P. Ram Manohar has been contributing in the field of Ayurvedic research since the last 30 years. He is a renowned personality engaged in global promotion of Ayurveda and has made research visits to US, UK, Canada, Brazil, Italy, Russia, and so on. Ayurveda Ratan Award from UK, Dhanvantari Award from Nature Fit, Bishak Bhushan Puraskaram from Vagbada Sarani, Dr. Dwaraknath Memorial Award, Bharatwaja Puraskaram Award are a few to name in the long list of awards conferred on him. He is presently serving as director at Amrita Center for Advanced Research in Ayurveda and is the research head of the school level research committee of Amrita School of Ayurveda and a PhD guide at Amrita. He is a principal investigator of IUCL project launched in March 2023. He is also serves as associated faculty at Southern California University of Health Science, USA. With great respect, I welcome Dr. P. Ram Manohar to please take over the session.
Om Amriteshwarya Namaha. My humble pranams at the lotus feet of Amma. Pranams to all the dignitaries, all the participants who have come here for today's one-day seminar on pharmacovigilance. I'd like to start by sharing an instance of how an Ayurveda doctor took a bold step to identify some of the malpractices in our own field. So I'm just going to play the audio. So you must have heard that recently the drugs controller in care of Kerala government, the Ayurveda section, came out with a list of Ayurvedic medicines that were found to contain allopathic medications, actually adulterated with allopathic medication. This list was actually released quite some time back, not very far away, and there were a lot of pressure in not releasing this information, but it was the effort of many Ayurveda doctors themselves, at the risk of, even this was used by Abby Phillips against Ayurveda, but this is a very bold step. So I will just play this audio here.
ഈ ലിസ്റ്റ് പുറത്ത് ആൾക്കാരറിയാൻ ഒരു ഇൻഡയറക്റ്റായിട്ട് കാരണം ഞാനാണ്. കാരണം എൻ്റെ അടുത്ത് വന്ന ഒരു പേഷ്യൻ്റ് ഈ പെയിൻ നിവാരൺ ചൂർണം 1-2 മാസമായിട്ട് കഴിക്കുന്നു എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് വന്നിരുന്നു. അവർക്കത് നിർത്തുമ്പോൾ ഭയങ്കരമായിട്ട് വേദന വരുന്നു. അപ്പോൾ അവരുടെ മുഖം നോക്കിയപ്പോൾ ഭയങ്കരമായിട്ട് ഈ മൂൺ ഫേഷ്യസ് എന്ന് പറയുന്ന പോലെ വീർത്തിരിക്കുന്നു, ചുമന്ന് വീർത്തിരിക്കുന്നു. അപ്പം ഞാനത് ചോദിച്ചപ്പോൾ അവർ പറഞ്ഞ എൻ്റെ കവിള് ഇപ്പോഴാണ് ഇങ്ങനെ ആയത്, മുമ്പ് ഇങ്ങനെ ഇല്ലായിരുന്നു, ഇപ്പോൾ ഈ മരുന്ന് കഴിച്ചതിന് ശേഷമാണ് ഇങ്ങനെ ആയത്. പക്ഷെ അവർ ആ മരുന്ന് നിർത്താൻ തയ്യാറില്ല, കാരണം അത്രയും അത് നിർത്താൻ പറ്റില്ല എന്നുള്ളൊരു ആറ്റിറ്റ്യൂഡായിരുന്നു. അപ്പോൾ എനിക്കൊരു സംശയം തോന്നി. അങ്ങനെ ഞാനത് നമ്മുടെ ഒരു ഗ്രൂപ്പിൽ ഇവരുടെ ഈ കവിളിൻ്റെ ഫോട്ടോ ഇട്ടു. അതിട്ട് കഴിഞ്ഞപ്പോൾ പല ഡോക്ടേഴ്സും പറഞ്ഞു ഞങ്ങൾക്കും ഇതുപോലെ അനുഭവമുണ്ട്, ഇതുപോലെ ഈ മരുന്ന് കഴിച്ചിട്ട് പലരുടെയും മുഖം ഇങ്ങനെ വീർത്ത് വരുന്നുണ്ട് എന്നൊക്കെ പറഞ്ഞപ്പോൾ അത് ആ ഗ്രൂപ്പിലെ ഒരു ഡോക്ടർ, അദ്ദേഹത്തിന് ഈ ഡ്രഗ് കൺട്രോളർ ഡിപ്പാർട്ട്മെൻറ്റുമായിട്ടൊക്കെ വലിയ അടുപ്പമുള്ള ആളാണ്. അദ്ദേഹം ഇതെനിക്ക് അന്വേഷിച്ചേ പറ്റുമെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് പോയി ഡ്രഗ് കൺട്രോളറെ കണ്ടു. ഇങ്ങനെ ഒരു മരുന്നിനെ കുറിച്ചൊന്ന് പഠിക്കണമല്ലോ, ഇങ്ങനെ റിപ്പോർട്ട് ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്, ആഫ്റ്റർ സൈഡ് എഫക്ട്സ് റിപ്പോർട്ട് ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ടെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു. അപ്പോൾ അവർ പറഞ്ഞു ഞങ്ങളിത് ഈ മരുന്നിനെക്കുറിച്ച്, ഈ കമ്പനിയുടെ മുഴുവൻ മരുന്നിനെക്കുറിച്ച് സ്റ്റഡി നടത്തി ഞങ്ങൾ ഡോക്ടേഴ്സിനെ അറിയിച്ചു കഴിഞ്ഞല്ലോ എന്നാണ് അവർ പറഞ്ഞത്. 2 ആഴ്ചയാവുന്നു ഞങ്ങളത് ഇത് നോട്ടീസ് കൊടുത്തിട്ട്, ഡോക്ടേഴ്സിനെ എല്ലാം അറിയിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടല്ലോ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു. അപ്പോൾ ആ ഡോക്ടർ ഞങ്ങളൊന്നും അറിഞ്ഞിട്ടില്ലല്ലോ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു. അപ്പോൾ അത് സംഘടനയുടെ പേരിൽ അവർ അയച്ചു കൊടുത്തിട്ടും അത് പുറത്ത് വന്നിട്ടില്ല. അതിൻ്റെ കാരണം എന്താണെന്ന് അറിയില്ല. എന്തായാലും അത് പിന്നെ ഇദ്ദേഹം തന്നെ ഗ്രൂപ്പുകളിൽ ഭയങ്കരമായിട്ട് പ്രശ്നം ഉണ്ടാക്കി, എന്തുകൊണ്ട് ഇത് ഇട്ടില്ല എന്നൊക്കെ പറഞ്ഞ് പ്രശ്നം ഉണ്ടാക്കിയപ്പോഴാണ് പതുക്കെ ഇത് പുറത്ത് വരാൻ തുടങ്ങിയത്. ഇദ്ദേഹം
There is a much longer description. What I wanted to start my presentation today by saying that, see, unless we take bold steps like this, we are not going to address this problem. So Dr. Ghalib entered his presentation by saying that one person can make a change if he takes the initiative. This is an example of such one person who, because of his commitment to Ayurveda, decided to take that bold step of working against the system. And even then you can see, even though the notification was given by the drugs controller, there were a lot of vested interests who prevented that notice from coming outside. So what I want to say is, if we want to protect Ayurveda, I mean, we have to take up this responsibility. So I want to, with this brief introduction and an appeal to each one of us to take such kind of individual responsibility. We have a pharmacovigilance center, 2 centers in Kerala. If you notice any unwanted effect from the use of Ayurvedic medicines, it should be promptly reported and investigated. Sometimes it may be some malpractice that is actually the cause for this, and unless it is investigated and identified, we should not have a third person identifying it and blaming us. So let me put things very clearly. See, there is a very strong narrative developing against Ayurveda globally. Earlier, when I used to talk to Ministry of Ayush, Kotecha ji, many other people who are working, in very responsible positions, they all used to say that there will always be people who are, doing this wrong communication about Ayurveda. The best thing is to ignore them. We cannot always fight them. Even if you give the evidence, they will not agree. But that situation has changed now. They have created such a powerful narrative in social media that the very perception of Ayurveda is changing. Some days ago, a very reputed owner of an Ayurvedic pharmaceutical company called me with a lot of concern. He said, with the work of people like Abhi Phillips, you know what has happened in Kerala? People coming to study Ayurveda have plummeted, significantly. There are not many students coming to study Ayurveda. And he said the sales of Ayurvedic medicines has reduced to 25% for major pharma companies. And patients are beginning to panic. So when many patients are beginning to ask Ayurveda doctors whether the medicines that they are prescribing are harmful for the liver or harmful for the kidneys, what is the proof that it is safe? So the narrative is spreading very strongly. We cannot ignore it. And unless we take proper measures, their goal of eliminating Ayurveda or Ayush as a valid system of medicine, that agenda is really moving forward. So one of the major questions against Ayurveda is that Ayurveda does not by itself have adequate protocols to identify and check the toxicity of medicines. We don't have a self-checking system. So I don't know, you may have heard, sometime back in BMJ, there was a statement that the third leading cause of death is medical profession itself. This came from the US. Now, while many people like us use this to, tarnish, many Ayurveda people are quoting this, saying that modern medicine is the third leading cause of death. But they are perceiving it in a different way. What they are saying is that we have a system whereby we are able to detect what is wrong with and then take corrective measures. So in Ayurveda, we have no such data at all. How much is our treatments, how much... So I have been now following some of these things, and you can see the efforts against showing the toxicity and harm from Ayurveda is becoming more and more organized. So every single instance of anything being reported is being highlighted in social media, and I was shocked to see, it's a very recent post about Ashtavargam Kashayam, which is so commonly used. It has been attributed with liver toxicity, and it is coming from a reputed pharmacy like SNA. Abhi Phillips is also talking about writing. Dr. Ghalib was telling why we need good publications in reputed journals. They are doing just the opposite. There was an article which got rejected from... See, these articles are also getting rejected. Modern doctors, when they write against Ayurveda, they are also facing bias. Especially Indian journals are not accepting articles that have labeled Ayush or Ayurveda. So many of them are now going international and publishing in more reputed journals, and they are getting more visibility. So public health warnings against Ayurveda is very widespread. You take any American, European websites, health public websites, you can see there is a section warning about using Ayurvedic medicines. So this whole narrative that Ayurvedic medicines are toxic and poisonous is gaining momentum. Then there are reports about actual incidents. People reporting, poison in Ayurvedic drugs, case report of toxicity. So what I'm going to take, Prajesh is already looking at the watch. I will complete my talk very briefly. We have 2 more talks after this. So, I just want to summarize what are the major concerns that today is being perceived. What is being projected in the public domain as the narrative against Ayurveda. One is, of course, heavy metals. That the use of heavy metals in Ayurveda, purposeful use of heavy metals in our Rasa Shastra preparations in the form of bhasmas, that is being very widely criticized. That Ayurveda there is 2 different things. One is that Ayurveda medicines may be accidentally contaminated with heavy metals. The other is purposeful use of heavy metals. Now this is drawing a lot of criticism, that Ayurveda is purposefully using metals and minerals without adequate understanding of their toxicity. And so the only way we can counter this, there are very few attempts in this area, one of which is M.S. Valyathan, it's an allopathic doctor, M.S. Valyathan, who tried to show that bhasmas and these heavy metal medicines may be safe. He published with a group an article which is still not an ultimate safety report of Rasa Sindhura, but it is an article which shows that when you process Rasa Sindhura in the Ayurvedic way, it may be undergoing changes that makes it safer. It is still hypothesis. It's not proven that because of this study that it is safe. So unless we have high quality studies which clearly demonstrate that, or I can tell you this is going to be a big challenge in the near future. Heavy metal contamination is another aspect, and people are not well aware of this distinction, that sometimes the toxicity is due to accidental contamination, sometimes it is due to purposeful use of medicines where you declare that this has mercury. Now in many medicines there is no declaration, but when they do a testing they find mercury. So here again, the only solution is that our industry is still not coming up to this practice that every batch that is manufactured should be tested for heavy metals, and we must give a label in the label itself that this is free from heavy metals. This is not something which can be also, so I'm just talking about where pharmacovigilance is relevant, where we have to go even beyond pharmacovigilance to actually address these issues. Now, many plants may themselves contain harmful chemicals. Dr. Ghalib was clearly mentioning everything natural is not safe. And plants are also collection of chemicals. We say modern medicine is chemical. A plant is 100,000 chemicals. It's not just one chemical. Modern medicine is only one chemical, whereas a plant has thousands of chemicals. So such plants needs to be used very carefully. If dosage is exceeded, so many poisonous plants are also used in Ayurveda. So we have to be very careful about that. Then this, I am not going into this, dangerous drug-herb interactions, is another cause. So why we are getting safety issues are surrounding use of Ayurvedic medicines. Drug-herb interactions, Ghalib already mentioned. And then the addition of modern drugs in Ayurvedic medicine. We don't know how widespread this practice is. A lot of Ayurveda practitioners give unlabeled medicines they make at home and mix in. This practice is still there. And we do not know how, if this is found out, by a third person, this is going to bring a lot of disrepute to the Ayurvedic system. So this is the illegal practice that was recently discovered in Kerala. And this is the list of all the medicines. You can see pain nivarana churnam. They have a complete list of what was found in these Ayurvedic medications. So as Swamiji was also mentioning, that people are beginning to use a lot of patent medications. And many of these patent medications are supposedly giving quick results also. But we do not know if they have been adulterated with these modern medicines. So you can see many dangerous paracetamol, diclofenac. Diclofenac is definitely toxic if you take it for a long period of time. So many such medicines, I'm not going into the details. So this is another reason why Ayurvedic medicines may cause unwanted effects. Then there is wrong choice of medicines, and from an Ayurvedic perspective also, treatments may cause unwanted effects. If the medicine is wrongly prescribed, like an Ushna drug in a Pitta dominant condition, you must have seen the adverse IDR form displayed by Dr. Galib. All those conditions are put there as a checklist. So this can lead to unwanted side effects. Wrong dosing and method of administration. In Ayurveda, we have mentioned, more and more our practice is not based on Ayurvedic principles, the more chances of unwanted effects coming, because we have made it more disease-based approach. Ghee is to be licked in Pitta dominance, swallowed in Vata dominance. Ayurveda says that if in a Pitta dominance you give large quantity of ghee, it can produce side effects. So these are very subtle things which easily cannot be understood. An allopathic doctor who observes this might be saying that by giving ghee, the side effect has come. But it is actually not due to the ghee. It is because it has been given in a wrong condition in the wrong manner. There is misbranding of Ayurveda. This is another reason why a lot of toxic reports are coming. You must see, this is the Vicks VapoRub label. Vicks in India alone is marketed as Ayurvedic medicine, not in the rest of the world. So this is, and there was also a report on how Vicks caused eye damage, and Ayurveda was blamed for that. So we have to be very careful. We have to protest the wrong labeling of products as Ayurveda, because for commercial advantage people are doing this. Now I'm coming to the second part of my presentation. So I wanted to show you in the beginning that there is a serious problem, that if we keep ignoring this, Ayurveda is going to be now projected as one of the most dangerous practices in the world. That narrative is becoming stronger and stronger, and these are the various reasons why side effects. Now side effects are not being reported by Ayurveda physicians. Patients are reporting it, or allopathic doctors are finding it. In fact, when we started our pharmacovigilance center, we were trying to establish it in Amrita Institute of Medical Sciences, Kochi. If those of you who saw the list of the pharmacovigilance centers, you would have noticed that it is still listed as AIIMS Kochi. The reason was to have an interaction with allopathic doctors. So whenever they come out with some, encourage them to report the side effects to our pharmacovigilance center first, rather than on social media. But somehow we had to shift the pharmacovigilance center back to School of Ayurveda. Now it has become closed. If it was in AIIMS Kochi, we could have had a more dynamic interaction with the allopathic community and give them the confidence that if there is any unwanted effect, there is some system here to analyze and assess it. Now just a little more things before I conclude. See, it is 2014 I had written an editorial in Ancient Science of Life. I was interested in pharmacovigilance right from its inception. When I was working in AVP, this pharmacovigilance center first got set up in Jamnagar, and we had collaborated at that time in creating a software for this. So I'm very worried that what I thought about 10 years ago is still looking very relevant, and nothing much has happened. See, it has to be very well understood that nothing is absolutely safe. We should also start sensitizing our patients that there is nothing that is absolute. Charaka Samhita says, nahi kinchit, nacha kinchit adosha nirgunam. There is nothing without dosha and nothing without guna. Guna bhuyastu mato vichintyate means we have to look at the risk-benefit ratio. So please be aware. We did a study in AVP on Ayurveda and rheumatoid arthritis. Ayurveda group, methotrexate group, combination group. All the three groups had some adverse events. Even the Ayurvedic group had some adverse events. But the adverse events were highest in the group which used both allopathy and Ayurveda together, which means there were drug-herb interactions. Methotrexate group had more adverse events. Ayurveda had less adverse events. But what is interesting is that even with the Ayurvedic group was not adverse event free, which means our medicines may produce, they were minor adverse events, but still there were adverse events. So when our chikitsa becomes more and more shuddha, then only we can minimize the adverse events that may come in our population. In order to do that, we need to create a feedback system where we keep learning from our errors. See, what is Shuddha Chikitsa? Shuddha Chikitsa means creating a treatment protocol that will minimize the possibility of any side effect in your patient. This you learn, you develop into a Shuddha Chikitsa only through constant feedback. When I give a medicine to a person, I noticed a small side effect. I analyze it, I understand why it happened, next time it will not happen. So if there is no feedback system, so pharmacovigilance feedback is necessary for us to also develop Shuddha Chikitsa, not just for protecting. So every physician should be reporting whatever harmful events they have. That will help them to analyze the Shastra and become more clear. So one key point I want to highlight is that this should also become one of the subjects for Agada Tantra. Agada Tantra is now a marginalized branch. Ayurveda was one of the earliest systems to bring about the branch of toxicology. So toxicology later became reduced to poison healing, and now finally it has become very academic. It is, you are studying forensic medicine, modern forensic medicine, and then stopping it. But why can't Agada Tantra itself be developed to look at toxicity and safety of Ayurvedic medicines? So you can see that Ayurveda has a framework for broad classification of poisonous substances. We have a system of identifying toxicity. We have a system of grading toxicity. We have a system of understanding how normal substances can produce toxic effects. So see, in Ayurveda we have even mentioned pepper itself. We have the Ayurvedic system of assessing toxicity was so refined that we have identified toxicity for even commonly used substances, like pepper is to be roasted in ghee and then only used. Otherwise it will be toxic. So for every small substance, we have even said ghee is poison. Pakveshu dosheshu amridam tad vishobhamam anyatha. So how a particular substance, in what context it will become toxic, is that framework is there in Ayurveda. That we have to bring in, through the study of, it should be part of Agada Tantra. There are toxic medicinal plants. There are chronic poisons described in Ayurveda. And also, Ayurveda has used toxins also as medicine. So here again, we need protocols on how to safely use it. Ayurvedic, I think today we are having a couple of talks also from KC and Panchakarma, because iatrogenic diseases, wrong use of, one of the reasons why adverse events happen is not necessarily due to the inherent toxicity of the system. Majority of the time it is due to misuse or abuse. When something is inherently toxic, what do? You should have a protocol for using it safely. So I want to summarize all these adverse events and toxicity in two categories. One is by improper use. Even a very safe medicine, yatha visham, yatha shastram, yatha agnir, ashanir yatha, tathaushadam, avijñādam, vijñādam amritam yatha. So when a medicine is wrongly used, it can produce unwanted side effects. So how do we know that? Unless we report it, unless we analyze, discuss. So when there is an adverse event, you must know whether it is due to wrong use or whether it is due to an inherent property of that substance itself. So if it is due to adding of a toxin, lead or some such toxin has entered into it, then there is no way of using it safely. It is because that is inherently toxic. So what is needed in Ayurveda is that we need to identify this. One major what will be the outcome of a pharmacovigilance? Outcome of a pharmacovigilance means you must declare to the public what are the risks associated with the use of a medication. Now, when you have sodium benzoate in your formulation, and if it is likely to cause acidity, you have to put it in the label that this may cause acidity. Recently, I was having a acute chest congestion and I was traveling, and I thought, okay, this time I will use some modern medicine to quickly get some relief. I went and got some cough syrup, and after reading the warnings on the label, I decided not to take it because it was mentioned that my liver may fail and my kidney may also fail if I take that medicine. So I decided not to use it. This is what they are telling. What modern doctors are telling is that we are not declaring the risks associated with the use of our medication. What is a safe use? So what it clearly mentioned was you should not use it without consulting a medical practitioner. It is a medicine which is available over the counter. So that is a care that is being given in educating the public about what are the risks associated. Whereas Ayurvedic medicines, we are flouting them as absolutely safe. And then when something happens, people can question us. Now they are safe because if I got a liver damage with that medicine, the pharmaceutical company which made it will say that we had already mentioned that in the label. So, on the other hand, I want to turn the tables, just 2 or 3 more slides and I will conclude. Is that, see, why I am saying Agada Tantra is that we can also turn the tables again by providing solutions to see. Today we are living in a world which is toxic in so many ways. Although this new narrative is seeming to make us believe that Ayurveda is adding toxicity in our lives, from our mobiles to the food that we eat, the environment, everything is toxic. So much of toxicity coming from so many sources, air pollution. Ayurveda also has a solution for these toxic exposures in modern times. And vegetables are toxic. Why? Because pesticides are being used. Is it not? The fish is toxic because they are taking so much of mercury. Our air is toxic. Now Ayurveda also has solutions for dealing with these toxicities. This is one area where we should work. And we can create a counter narrative about how Ayurveda can help to solve many of the toxic problems that we are facing today. Ayurveda can help reduce toxicity of modern. So on the one hand, we must acknowledge that we must start reporting whenever we see an adverse event, look at it, identify what it could be, make sure it will not happen again, give necessary, all that is there. But before I conclude, what I want to say is we can create also a counter narrative. A counter narrative is like, for example, can you see this medicine? It's not so clear. This is, rifampicin. Do you know what is rifampicin? It's used in the management of tuberculosis. It's a very toxic drug. And they have found that you can see here rifampicin is added with piperine. Piperine is a compound found in long pepper and pepper. So this is in Ayurveda, we use it as a prakshepa dravya because it increases the bioavailability of all the drugs in formulations. So with less medication, you will get more effect. Now it has been found that when we are talking about drug-herb interactions, if we can do good research and show how Ayurveda can reduce the toxicity of modern drugs, that will create a counter narrative. These are also creative ways in which we can look at this problem. So what I want to conclude and say is that we need to have an insider's view. See, in Ayurveda research, everything has happened through outsiders. We are happily just trying to survive and live a life somehow. That has to change. The research started in Ayurveda through outsiders. Where European colonists came, they documented Sushruta surgery, they documented inoculation. After that, historians came and studied about Ayurveda. Then scientists started studying. Even today, if you look at, do you know who has the highest citations and highest publications in the field of Ayurveda? It's not an Ayurveda physician. It's Bhushan Patwardhan. He is the most influential And if you ask him, he says, I am not an Ayurveda person. I am only sympathetic to Ayurveda. So everything we are waiting for things to happen from outside. What we need is an insider's view. We have to tell the world what is safe, what is not safe in Ayurveda. We should not let the outside community to dictate and create a narrative that is tarnishing us. So I say that we should also revisit Agada Tantra. Agada Tantra would be a good, I know Prajesh may not be so happy about this because he's associating pharmacovigilance with Rasa Shastra. Rasa Shastra is also interesting because it is one of the subjects which is associated with a lot of claims of toxicity. But I think it is Agada Tantra that can give us this overall perspective. We have our own system of monitoring safety, establishing safety protocols, how to classify substances, how to deal with these toxicities. So we have to come with our own system inspired by Ayurveda, and that should be incorporated into the pharmacovigilance program also. So what I am suggesting is a three-pronged strategy. We will need to create primary evidence from the codified text itself. We need to classify every herb, every formulation. See, how did our acharyas tell us whether a drug is unsafe or not? They gave us clues by telling the dosha haratvam, by telling the virya, by telling the... So if a dravya is vatahara but pitta vardhaga, what does it mean? That it will cause some side effect. Aggravation of pitta is a side effect. Every herb we have given a profile like this. That has to be the primary evidence on which we assess the safety or efficacy of a substance. There are very few dravyas which we have said as tridoshahara, which means it's very unlikely to cause a side effect. Dravyas which are not tridoshahara are always going to cause side effects. So we get a lot of clues from our own shastras. The second is the evidence from living practices. See, one of the ways which we can see, one case of Ashtavargam Kashayam causing liver damage, which is also not established. But if we have 1,000,000 narratives of Ashtavargam not causing liver damage, which will be stronger? We don't have the counter narrative. We are not doing the documentation. If we do the documentation of all our practices and show that, these medicines are also safe in long-term use. And third is the tertiary evidence. Tertiary evidence should come from modern scientific studies. So I'm suggesting a three-pronged strategy. Primary evidence of safety and toxicity come from classical Ayurvedic texts. Secondary level of evidence coming from living practices, from documentation. And the third through scientific studies. If we bring these three things together, I think we can bring a new approach in Ayurvedic pharmacovigilance and create a counter narrative through which we can help people understand what Ayurveda is all about. Okay, thank you.
A sincere gratitude to Dr. Ram Manohar for his insightful session on toxicity of Ayurvedic herbs and formulation. We are grateful for his contribution to our understanding of topic. Thank you, Ram Manohar sir, for your informative session. We welcome Dr. Priya S., HOD of Department of Dravya Guna, to felicitate Dr. Ram Manohar sir. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Next, our session is on Pharmacovigilance in Clinical Practice by Dr. Devipriya Soman. Dr. Devipriya Soman currently serves as Associate Professor in the Department of Kaya Chikitsa, Amrita School of Ayurveda. She has presented papers in various national and international seminars and received Best Paper Awards. She has received the Ashtavaidyan Sri E.T. Neelakantan Moose Memorial Award for thesis in the year 2014. She has also completed an online certificate course in statistics and medicine conducted by Stanford University. With great respect, I welcome Dr. Devipriya Soman to please take over the session.
Thank you, Doctor. Om Amriteshwari Namaha. My humble pranams at the lotus feet of my Guru, Amma. So, directly coming to the topic, pharmacovigilance in clinical practice. A new drug gets introduced into the market after going through various phases of clinical trials. The data on the safety and efficacy of the drug largely depends on the thousands of samples which were involved in the previous studies. But even then, the risks and benefits involved in the usage of that drug's safety profile comes with the wider use of that drug in wider population, and that too looking into a longer phase. That is, when the drug is tried for a longer period, then only we'll be able to know what are the risks and benefits involved in using that particular drug. Sometimes in clinical trials, the rare adverse events may not be observed. That too is because of the lack of long duration of the clinical trials. Moreover, unforeseen interactions, that too with the existing comorbidities as well as the drug therapies, that may not also be available during the clinical trials. So, it is the duty of, or it is the observation of a clinician to look into the safety of the drug profile. And this is what happens in the real world practice. Now, why pharmacovigilance in Ayurveda? So, as the previous speakers were telling, there is a global market escalation of Ayurveda drugs, that is traditional drugs, is prevailing currently. And the concept of drug safety has now become a universal concept regardless of the medical stream. Moreover, there are reporting of adverse events which is raising a public concern. And misleading advertisements are still pertinent, which offers false claims and promises. Moreover, a central regulatory authority available will be helpful to minimize the scrutiny of the concepts and rationale of Ayurveda. There comes the relevance of pharmacovigilance, which helps to identify the safety concerns associated with medications and drugs. Then, the concept of Shuddha Chikitsa is highlighted in our science. So, right from the drug identification and properties, etc., are mentioned in our drugs, in our samhitas, which may be pointing to minimize the ADR. So, as you all know, there is a mentioning of a synonym of Vyakri for Chitraka, which means that there can be symptoms related to skin, or skin rashes can appear if improperly Shodhita Chitraka is used. And the yogas are specific of dosha haratva and vyadhi haratva. That is, it means if those yogas are not specifically used in that particular dosha avastha or vyadhi, it can result in certain unintended actions. Then coming to the dosage. It is very evident that while mentioning in the context of rasayanas, it is evidently mentioned that there is pravara, avara, madhyama matra for rasayanas. And that too for children and for old age people, different dosage measures are mentioned. Then ultimately comes the yukti of the physician, where he can decide as to which chikitsa, where and when to use. These all are intended for a safety measure to minimize the ADRs, pointing to patient sensitivity to drug or therapy. Even then, we notice that some unexpected events happen in our clinical practice. And this can be attributed to the improper use of the medications, poor quality of medications, and deviation from the Roga-Rogi Pariksha. Now, how can a physician benefit from pharmacovigilance initiative? The instant benefit is that the physician is able to know what is the cause for this event. He'll be able to analyze what has caused it. And from the dosages and from the suspected drug and from the de-challenge and re-challenge which he has initiated, he'll be able to gather information. And thus he is able to take self-experience from that particular event. Moreover, when every physician tried to report it, it becomes a collective effort. And later on, these knowledges can be kept as a dependable repository for the future clinicians to refer, as well as the contemporary physician to work on it. Following the repository, it may lead to production of protocols to manage the adverse events in clinical practice. Even then, we see that there is underreporting of ADRs among clinicians. In a paper which was published in a reputed journal, it showed that a survey was conducted among educational institutions across the country, where it is reported that the ADRs are underreported majorly because of difficulty in deciding the ADR, difficulty in identifying the ADR, and it is because of lack of time to report. So when to suspect ADR? There are certain contemporary causes for ADRs with Ayurvedic medications, like the heavy metal poisoning. We had an incident in our department. For a thesis study, we were trying to prepare a yoga. So as part of the thesis study, we had to go for a physicochemical analysis of that particular combination. So when we were much surprised when the report came, because it had contents of mercury, lead and other heavy metals which was above the permissible limits. So we actually completely avoided using that particular yoga, and we had to remake it again for the use of the study. And that could be attributed to either the heavy metal contamination of the drugs, or it can be because of the contamination from the machines or where it was prepared. And new proprietary medicines in the market about which safety data are not available. Then new drugs which are not reported in Ayurvedic classics, and adding of these new reported drugs along with the traditional medicines are also seen to practice widely now. There is a new drug combination for dry cough which is available in the market, which contains a fruit extract which is being mixed with the traditional drug. So actually we don't know what is that fruit extract actually, and it does not have any reference in the it is not available in the Samhitas too. So these are all places where we can suspect ADRs. And moreover, extracts of herbs that are also being marketed without much profile of safety profile. Also, deterioration can happen upon storage. The drugs the combination or yogas which contains sugars and salts, it can undergo impairment, or it can undergo deterioration in its quality, which can lead to contamination of fungus, microbes, etc., which can reduce the potency of the drugs. Drug dispensing. In our Samhitas, the drug dispensing is mentioned in the terms of grams, milligrams, etc. But now as clinicians, we practice in the terms of spoons, 1 teaspoon, 2 teaspoon, etc. That can also initiate a suspected ADR because of the difference in the quantity which is actually prescribed for that particular drug. Also, there is a practice of giving lump sum amount of drugs and ask the patient to divide himself and take. That also can initiate a change in the dose of the patient which need to take at a particular time. Then long-term use of drugs. In our Samhita, it is specifically mentioned certain drugs should not be used for long, like Pippali, Kshaudra, Pippali, Kshara, etc., Lavana, etc. should not be used. But we are not very cautious to make the patients aware that such drugs should not be used. So taking long-term drugs also can induce ADRs. So now, ADRs which are reported in Ayurveda, we could analyze them in two ways. That is, certain symptoms pop up which we can analyze based on Ayurveda Siddhantas. Like when we take Balladaga, we can suspect if it is not properly done Shodhana for that, we can suspect that certain skin reactions or certain Pittavriddhi Lakshanas can happen. So that could be grouped under Prakriti Samaveta Lakshanas. But there are some other clinical symptoms which can manifest, which we cannot explain on the basis of Ayurveda Siddhantas. So I had an experience in my clinical practice where I had prescribed Maharasnadi Kashaya for a neurological condition. And just after 3 days, a WhatsApp message came from the patient telling that I have developed blisters in my oral mucosa and I have stopped the medicine. And after 3 days, the symptoms got relieved. So it was totally unexpected. Maharasnadi Kashaya, which is almost a Tridosha Shamana drug, would never induce a Pitta Vriddhi Lakshana. So it couldn't be substantiated on what basis the patient developed this oral mucositis. So such things should be surely reported to the peripheral pharmacovigilance centers. All these things have been previously discussed. ADR reporting form also have been discussed. Online reporting system also have been discussed. So what to be done to minimize ADRs? So we have to shift from OTC to only prescription medications, from renewable prescription to non-renewable prescription. We have a practice of using the same prescription and we go to Ayurveda shop and we take the medicines. So that has to be stopped. Special prescriptions should be encouraged. That is, the drugs with narcotics should be specifically mentioned and it should be only given from the pharmacy with a prescription only. And now certain combinations of drugs are available in the market which contains cannabis, etc., which are widely used over the counter. That should be restricted. Then another is restricted prescription. Then there should be proper surveillance and reporting to minimize ADR. Now coming to conclusion, as a physician, we should be very cautious to always report the ADRs to facilitate the documentation of ADRs. Thereby, a database will be developed with adverse drug reactions, and with such database only, we'll be later on able to formulate protocols as to how to manage it and thereby prevent further occurrence of ADR and improve the reporting system related with pharmacovigilance. With this, I conclude my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Any queries?
Namaste, doctor. We have found that in certain websites of hospital pages, for example, I would like to say in AVP web page, I found that patients are reporting what they have faced because of, so they say I applied this oil and then I developed heat rashes. Do you think that because you are in a clinical practice, do you feel that the physician should actually respond? So we find patients writing like this, but there is no response given to them. Now we do not know whether the physician is sending a private message, but then the person reading this, if it is an outsider, they get the idea that, okay, if I apply Bala Ashwagandhadi Thailam, I may get heat rashes. So does it become the need of the hour that a clinician should actually address such reports that is mentioned in the web page of the hospital or the college?
Actually, the authorities who are responsible for making them visible, they should be much cautious before the physician should react. Actually, some authorities will be giving permission them to write it. It may be so like. So, actually, the authorities should take enough concerns before they make it visible to the public. Thank you very much.
We extend our sincere gratitude to Dr. Devipriya Soman for her contribution to today's session. Thank you, ma'am. I welcome Dr. Priya ma'am to felicitate Dr. Devipriya ma'am. Next, our session is on pharmacovigilance and Panchakarma by Dr. Vishnu U. Dr. Vishnu U currently serves as Associate Professor at the Department of Panchakarma, Amrita School of Ayurveda. He has presented and attended many national and international seminars. He is also an active member in different social organizations like Rotary International, Medical Wing of Isha, etc. With great respect, I invite Dr. Vishnu to take over the session.
Om Amriteshwari Nama. My pranams to all the dignitaries, faculties, and students who are present here. So, coming to the topic, pharmacovigilance in Panchakarma. So, pharmacovigilance, though it deals with the reporting and the prevention of adverse drug reactions, in why it is pharmacovigilance, the role, what is there in the Panchakarma, because when we consider the Ayurvedic therapeutics, most of we adopt our treatment basically by two methods, the Shamana and Shodhana Chikitsa. And most of for this purpose we use both internal and external therapies. And Panchakarma being a branch where most of the external therapies are handled, the pharmacovigilance is or inculcating pharmacovigilance in Panchakarma is very necessary for a safer Ayurvedic practice. So, coming to the need of pharmacovigilance in Panchakarma. So, unlike the early 90s, since when after Panchakarma being a post-graduation or Panchakarma being a super specialization, there had been a wide range of Panchakarma practice throughout among the Ayurvedic fraternity. Like even a graduate, a BMS graduate student is confident enough to practice Panchakarma after his usual curriculum. So that much wide range has become the Panchakarma practice, and it has become a fundamental treatment tool for most of the physicians. So a safer practice should be ensured in perspective of Panchakarma. And mostly after the COVID pandemic, it is globally recognized as one of a natural detoxification method. And we don't know about how among the Western populations mainly, and we don't know how much they understand about what we are doing, but still it is globally recognized. So it is our prime duty that we ensure a safe practice and monitored practice, standard practice of Panchakarma to the modern fraternity also. And coming to the chance of patient vulnerability, you all know that if you have experienced in your lifetime a Panchakarma treatment, what the patient have to face in a Panchakarma theatre, because they will be of limited dress code, or they will be exposed to many people like a therapist, like a physician, and you don't know who all will enter the theatre. So that should not happen. So we should take in consideration the confidence of the patient, that it is conducted in strict conduct and medical surveillance, so that they are confident to lie before you for the treatment purpose. So the chance of patient vulnerability is more due to different aspects in the theatre. So that's also a need of pharmacovigilance there. And coming to the by introducing the pharmacovigilance in Panchakarma, we can ensure and minimize the risk factors and ensure a less harm to the patients who is undergoing the Panchakarma Chikitsa. So the pharmacovigilance actually was foreseen by our acharyas as vyapats. I don't think in any other treatment modalities or procedures and treatment procedures mentioned by acharyas, this much caution is told in any because that's why this much cautions is told by the acharyas in an extent that there is a lot of hindrance among the physicians to practice panchakarma, to practice vamana, virejana, such things. So that much care acharyas have already told to avoid the vyapats. Like Acharya Charaka have told some 4 factors: Preshya, Vaishajya, Vaidhyana, Vaigunya, Adurasya. So more 4 factors which are responsible for all the complications or vyapat which may cause in the theatre is already foreseen by the acharyas, and you can't imagine like what all small mistakes they have foreseen in as vyapats. So coming to this preshya or the incompetence of the attendant, you can correlate as a procedural error or a nursing errors which may happen in the theatres. And the Dravya Nimitta or Vaishajya Nimitta, you can correlate with that adverse drug reactions and events which may happen. And coming to the Vaidya Nimitta, you can correlate with incompetence of the physician, which may lead to medical errors. And coming to the Adra Nimitta, you can go for a non-complaint of the patient, or the patient is not following the regimes. So we can discuss all these factors as a like on the as a vyapats, the reasons which may cause for complications. And first coming to the karma nimitta, many things when you say about the procedures like vamana, or when you go for, if you for example, and improper postures or thermal burns, such are the some of the incidents which are common in the theatres. So if you see that for example a video you see in YouTube, you search for Vamana Karma, it is a highly practiced highly watched videos. You see the patient is sitting in a stool and a tub is kept in the floor, and the patient is vomiting. People are holding from different sides, and the patient is bending too much for vomiting. So actually these are improper postures which is already told as vyapats, because the patient who is bending too much there for vamana, the acharyas have told it there will be shira koshta pida. And if you try to we will not, like if we try to integrate with the patient, there will be a slow development of headache or something like that. So such improper postures which the attendant or the nursing should have been taken care, so that also is causing a complication to the patient. So it can be considered as a procedural error. And another common thing which you people try to avoid or not report is thermal burns. So most of the Panchakarma procedures as such are like heat therapies. Like if you take Nadi Sweda, Bashva Sweda, all these are heat therapies, and there is a high chance of thermal burns as a complication, which is very common, but it is less reported because most of them it will be handled by the therapist, and they try to cover it up. So because they will be targeted for the same. So that is a main that is an error which is caused due to the procedural or the nursing error. Now next is the physical exhaustion, and because in lack of proper monitoring about the vitals before the procedure, the patient may lead to fatigue or hypoglycemia, malaise, etc. Because overdoing the procedures. Now it is summer season, so the patient is paying so much amount. So patient may tell that he want to sit in the steam chamber for a long time. So as the patient perspective, he is paying for the thank you. Because it's summer. So no, definitely because maybe it is summer, it's drying up. So the patient has paid for that for the treatment, and without considering the season, the patient is sitting in a steam chamber for a longer time, which will definitely going to result in a complication or fatigue. So that should be the care to be taken by the nursing assistant, and he should inform that for this climate this is not advised. You can sit for this much duration to avoid that complication. So that can also be considered under the nursing errors. And improper pre and post care, always like we tend to neglect the small care that we should do. Like a patient is infectious, he has done a treatment in the our pati or the doni, and improper cleaning before the next patient is admitted in the same table, there is a chance of infectious spread. So it is the duty of the nursing assistant that you clean the patient properly, clean the doni properly before the next procedure, so to avoid this chance of spread of the infection to another person. And these are the possible reasons for the karma nimitta, like a lack of standard operating procedures, a lack of proper facilities. So what should be done in the procedure, how long it should be done, what should be the precautions, everything should be mentioned in the SOPs, and it should be explained in a regional language to the therapist also, because most of the time the therapist is the one who is handling the patient. So it should be properly explained to the therapist, and the physician also should ensure that it is followed. And the lack of proper facilities, before I forgot to mention the patient slip. Another important mishappening in the theatre is the patient slip or fall. So the patient has come for a rejuvenation treatment, and finally he is going out with a bandage in the head. So that should be avoided actually. And because these are small events, but people tend to neglect it. But these all can come under the adverse happenings which can be reported in pharmacovigilance. Because for patient slips and fall, like if you are not using an anti-slip mat, if you don't have a grip bar in the bathroom, such mishappenings can be happening in the theatres. So to avoid that, proper facilities should be there in the theatre. And coming to them, definitely there should be a proper training for the nurses of all the procedures, and SOP training, everything should be done. And inadequate monitoring, like only the physician's duty is to write the treatment and send the case sheet, and rest all is in the hand of the therapist. So that should not happen. And adequate monitoring is necessary so that to avoid such medical errors. Then coming to the dravya nimitta or adverse drug events, most of the panchakarma procedures like upanaha, lepa or stanika bastis and all, there will be combinations of medicines which will be used, and the contact time of that particular medications will be more. Maybe we'll be keeping it for, if it is a upanaha, we'll be keeping it for 12 hours or overnight or something like that. The contact time of those drugs will be very much more. Then that may result into the dermatological conditions like pruritus or erythema, such things. And by the time, we may have tied it in the afternoon time, and next day morning when we go and tell the patient to remove it, we will see there is erythema or pruritus or such symptoms developed, and the patient will be having that heating sensation, burning sensation and all, and patient may be thinking that it is due to the effect of the drug. So but it is due to a adverse drug reaction. So we should inform the patient that no such magical effects are going to happen. You will feel a little heat burn. After that it will be normal. So that the patient can report that if there is any adverse drug reactions. And even it includes a medication error, that improper dosage of the Mamana Aushadas or Virajana Aushadas, such things also come under the adverse drug events. So some of the reasons where it may cause further adverse drug events are the shelf life of Vamana Virejana drugs. Means our acharyas have always stressed on that a seasonal collection of the drugs, Vamana Virejana drugs, should be taken, because the shelf life of these Vamana Virejana, because they are Tishna in nature, the shelf life is very less. So a seasonal collection of the drug is advised. But most of us, what we do is, in a year we will purchase some Madana Pillapipili, and 2 years, 3 years, 4 years we will be using the same. And the patient, after Snehapana, everything, they will be struggling to do the Vamana. So because it is because of the lack of potency of the drug. So to avoid that, a seasonal change in collection and checking the quality of the medicines before administering the patient is necessary. And coming to the quality of therapeutic oils should be ensured. Like most of the, myself is also running a pharmacy. So most of the base of oil which we use is Tilataila based oil, and some are the coconut oil. So pure quality of Tilataila alone may cost you like from 800 to 1200 liter per liter. But we know many of our Taila, Dhanvandaram, Mahadana, etc., where lot of milk, etc., is added, per 200 ml we will get for 120 rupees, 110 rupees. So because in market you will be there, you have a lot of varieties of Tilataila is available, but they are not original. They are synthetically processed and it is mixed with some other oils and made to have the values of Tilataila. So that if you check in the lab, you will get all the reports like of Tilataila. So such measures, minimum quality of the oil which is used for Abhyanga should be also ensured. And most of the cases where when there is a complication of of oil which is used, the therapist and this nursing staff may ignore it because they don't know about how the adverse reactions are happen, and by the time the physician knows about it, it will be worsened. So a method of reporting is very essential for the therapist also. And a practice of patch test or prick test is also very necessary for a safer practice. When you go for Upanaha or some LEPA or something, you can go for a patch test and ensure that there is no drug reaction and go for Upanaha. And coming to the Vaidya Nimitta or the diagnostic errors. So as Sir has mentioned, the medical error is the third largest cause for the death nowadays. And the diagnostic errors as such, like a failure of adequate diagnosis before the one's immediate diagnosis and a lack of proper dosaging according to that, all comes under this diagnostic errors, which is totally under the responsibility of the physician. So many reports or many things happen in our daily practices, like for example, even a patient who has undergone this angioplasty and he is diabetic, he came to you for a knee joint pain, and suddenly you start with all the kashayas, churnas, everything, and you tell him to stop all the modern medications he is taking. So that is also a medical error, because it is unethical to stop all this cardiac medicines or diabetic medicines along with your medicines, and the patient may collapse, and even it may be fatal. So that also is a wrong practice from the Vaidya. And even like in the first, second week of the pregnancy, the patient may come with you for a low backache. So instead of giving some external medications, you are giving Nirgundi Arandam, Mrudu Virejana you are planning. So this may cause anomaly to the child, and that is also a medical error. So such small things you should be cautious. And coming to the selection of the patients, like wrong taking in the wrong patients for the Shodhana. Like that. So all these things are the factors for which medical errors caused by the Vaidya. And finally, the non-complaint of the patient. That the patient is, like I before told, patient is not ready to follow the regimes told by the physician, or the patient is not willing to continue the treatment in between. Like these things happen. Like the patient is starting Snehapana, second day the patient is not willing to take more. So there we have to educate the patient. So what are the risks you may face if the Shodhana is not done? What are the risks if Snehapana is not continued? Such things should be taken and it should be explained, and such mishappenings should be avoided. And coming to some of the reportings, like these are some of the publications where though they have mentioned that aromatherapy, these are all patients who have undergone Abhyanga. So there was a development of exfoliative dermatitis by usage of Mahanarayana Thailam, and allergic. In the second study, there was allergic contact dermatitis while using a combination of 3 oils: the Hanvantram oil, Eladi oil, and Muruvenna. These 3 were mixed together and used. And because the patient he developed much hypersensitivity, and because the patient wanted to continue, they did a patch test on it, and they found out that the allergic reaction was caused by the Eladi and Hanvantram Thailam, and our Muruvenna was safe for the patient, and they continue with it. But these things are done in the modern fraternity, and these things we can also follow and for a safer practice. This is a photo of the thermal burn. It is a condition where the Potali Sweda was not tied properly, and while during the procedure the Potali was open and the churna fell on the patient, and this much degree of burn has happened. This is not this initial picture. After some few weeks, this happened. Like the patient was advised to do Valigoseda at home, and already the patient was diabetic neuropathic patient, so they had less sensitivity of the food, and they did this Valigoseda, and finally it resulted in an open wound. So such all these mishappenings which occur during the practice of Panchakarma can be reported as adverse drug reactions. So to conclude, uniformity is the key for standardization. So preparing a standard operating procedure of all the therapies is necessary to make it uniform, and development of validative tools to assess the therapeutic effect is regularly is also necessary to make it uniform, and training for therapists on ADR is very necessary, and adverse events should be recorded and reported, and surveillance for Panchakarma specialists is very necessary during the procedure. So look before you leap. So always calculate the risk before jumping on to the profit. So thank you.
We extend our sincere gratitude to Dr. Vishnu for his contribution to today's session. Thank you, sir. We welcome Dr. Priya ma'am to felicitate Dr. Vishnu, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Our next session is on Challenges of Pharmacovigilance in Ayurveda by Dr. Prajishnath E.N. Dr. Prajishnath E.N. currently serves as Assistant Professor in the Department of Rasashastra and Baishya Kalpana, and also working as Program Coordinator of Peripheral Pharmacovigilance Center in Amrita School of Ayurveda under the Ministry of Ayush. National Pharmacovigilance Center, All India Institute of Ayurveda, New Delhi, honored him as Best Peripheral Pharmacovigilance Center Coordinator during the academic year 2020-21. With great respect, I welcome Dr. Prajishnath Ian to please take over the session.
My humble pranams to Amma.
I know I'm not taking not much time, more than only 5 minutes. I'm only going to the content of the slide. We know that we discuss what is pharmacovigilance, where to report, how to report, when to report, whom to report. This all discussed by previous speakers. I want to discuss only the challenges of the introducing PV, that is pharmacovigilance in Ayurveda. There is so many challenges are there. I am trying to point out only some challenges. The first challenge is under-reporting of ADRs. Since 2020, I was the coordinator. I am coordinator of PPVC Amrita. So till now we have only hardly 30-35 ADRs till now. This is all main concern is under-reporting. The reason for under-reporting of ADRs among the Ayurveda community, they are saying that lack of time. First is lack of time. They didn't have time to report. They have to fill the ADR form, and they have to send the ADR form to the PPVC, that Peripheral Pharmacovigilance Center, etc. But now it is simplified. We from the Ministry of Ayush, NPVC, that National Pharmacovigilance, started a site, and also so many centers, more than till now it is 99 centers all over India. So in Kerala there is 2 centers are there for northern side, northern 7 district, from Kottakkal, southern 7 district, is looking by the Amrita School of Ayurveda. It's easy to approach. There is no reason that there is no way to say that we don't have time during practice like that. Then next point is IMA targeting. After reporting a ADR to a PPVC, the physician thinks that I may target. Because there is no question arise in that I may target in reporting ADRs. Because it is full confidentially we will keep. We will not share any details, any patient details to anyone. This directly we will send to the IPVC, that is Intermediate Center. Then we will send to the National Center, that is Delhi. Next challenge is that is Ayurveda curriculum. That somewhat it is solved, but new syllabus revision. They added so many points in the points of the pharmacovigilance. Pharmacovigilance program, pharmacovigilance, how to report, where to report, this all added in the new curriculum. Then next is drug safety problems. And that already discussed, Ramana sir also discussed, Khalif sir also discussed, methods we don't have standard protocol study to the toxicity studies. This already we discussed. Then next is multi-ingredient Ayurvedic medicines. One of the main challenges in Ayurveda, we are using polyherbal formulations. It contains so many ingredients. We are not able to find which causes. Simultaneously, we use for a jora. If a patient comes, he will amrutothan kashayam, amrdarishtam, vettumaran gulika. We are not able to point out which drug causes ADR, which ingredient which causes ADR, like that. Sometimes if we take the vettumaran gulika tingling sensation because of aconite, this is because of Vatsanaba. That is we know that. But in some extent we are not able to point out which one causes, which ingredient, which formulation causes the ADR. Next is inherent belief that already already discussed. Inherent belief that Ayurveda medicine is safe. From my experience from the ADR reporting, we are facing so many reactions. ADR reactions happen. So no Ayurveda medicines, no medicine system is absolutely safe. Next is next patients used so many system of medicines at a time. If some patients using the diabetes medicines or hypertensive medicines, etc., then they will come to us. Then we will prescribe some medicines, Ayurveda medicines. So there will be chance of drug interactions. Next is lack of quality assurance and control. So I think we all watched the film that Skinneri Puliyoran that is released in 1994. In that movie, that Jagadi is using Jalusadi Lekyam, that I think you may know that Jalusadi Lekyam, Krosnadi Vadagam. Now it is that has happened because recently that news came that some Ayurveda medicines released from the northern pharmacy that coming from the northern pharmacy, North India, they have the content of the paracetamol or that paracetamol and the diclofenac. This is the that we have that it's our duty to conduct the standard protocol and the conduct the toxic study and also the right methods to right quality assurance and the control in the manufacturing unit. Then head practitioners already discussed. Then limited research evidence, this all already we discussed. Next, what happens if we didn't report the ADRs? So if we Ayurveda community as a Ayurveda doctors, if we didn't report the ADRs, in the other communities as modern medicine people will report, like A.B. Philip, like that, no, Dr. A.B. Philip, that they will report. This all, I want to show the some of the studies, this all reported by non-Ayurveda physicians. So if we didn't conscious about the reporting of ADRs, and if we didn't develop the culture of reporting ADRs, the other the modern doctors will do that now. They will report in the many quality journals like Scopus, like that in the international journals. They will have the wide visibility more than us. So it's our duty to find ADRs and and also report ADRs to nearest centers, pharmacovigilance centers, and also develop a reporting culture. That is our duty. If we didn't do that, others will do that. And also what we can next, this also we will discuss. Suraksha portal is there where you can report as a doctor. You can report in that directly. ADR sample ADR form we are kept in your seminar kit. We developed that is a simplified ADR form we developed in Amrita School of Ayurveda by the guidance of NPPS, that is National Pharmacovigilance Center. That is simplified ADR form. Then you can adopt in your college, in your clinics, like that, and also you can send that to the nearest center. So I want to conclude that what all we can report. All the ADRs, all the drug reactions, adverse drug reactions, and also Panchakarma Vyabats, Panchakarma, that errors, everything you can report. Everything you have to report and develop a reporting culturing of ADR. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Prajeet sir, for your insightful session on the challenges of pharmacovigilance. We welcome Dr. Priya ma'am to felicitate Dr. Prajeet sir. Welcome Dr. Priya S., Principal in Charge, Professor and HOD of Department of Dravya Guna, Amrita School of Ayurveda, to deliver closing remarks.
Namaskar. My humble pranams to the lotus feet of Amma, and my respect to all the eminent speakers of today and all the participants. We have come to the conclusion of today's enlightening seminar on pharmacovigilance in Ayurveda. I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to all the participants, speakers, and organizers who have made this event a success. And I hope that our discussions have shed light on the challenges faced in ensuring the safety and efficacy of Ayurvedic medicines and the promising path forward. The field of pharmacovigilance in Ayurveda presents unique challenges due to the diversity of formulations, the integration of traditional knowledge with modern science, and the need for rigorous monitoring of adverse effects. However, it also offers tremendous opportunities for innovation, collaboration, and promoting safe healthcare practices. So in this seminar, we have explored various aspects of pharmacovigilance, including regulatory frameworks, data collection and analysis, risk management strategies, and the role of stakeholders in ensuring patient safety. So we have also delved into the importance of education, training, and awareness among healthcare professionals, researchers, and consumers. So moving forward, we must continue to foster interdisciplinary collaborations and robust surveillance systems. So by working together and sharing our expertise, we can enhance the quality, safety, and accessibility of Ayurvedic medicines for the benefit of patients worldwide. So I encourage all of you to carry forward the valuable insights gained from today's seminar and actively contribute to the advancement of pharmacovigilance in Ayurveda. So let us remain vigilant, proactive, and committed to uphold the highest standards of healthcare delivery. Once again, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to all the speakers, organizers, and participants for making this seminar a resounding success, and let us continue our journey forward with enthusiasm and dedication. Thank you. Thank you, Ananda.